Dear soul, close your eyes for a moment and try to feel it. Something changed last night, and that shift began in a quiet room where your name was spoken, not in judgment, but in mystery. A mother's heart, once skeptical, once guarded, now carries a silence so deep it trembles with revelation. Because last night she sat across from someone who saw beyond the veil, someone who touched energies that most people never dare to feel. And when your name came up, it wasn't just a memory. It wasn't just a question. It was a truth that pierced through her spirit. She didn't expect the healer to look at her like that. She didn't expect to hear the words, "This soul is tied to your son's destiny, and if he turns away, he will carry that karmic weight for lifetimes." She didn't return the same. She couldn't. Her eyes now carry stories only the spirit can understand. She's been told what your connection really is. She's been shown glimpses of things you never said aloud, but that your soul kept whispering behind closed doors. The healer saw it all, the battles, the pull, the silence, the longing, the way you both are mirrors of wounds and miracles wrapped together. And for the first time, his mother felt you, not as a stranger, not as a mistake, but as someone who was always meant to cross his path. There's a new softness in her now, but it's laced with fear. Not fear of you, but fear of what may be lost if this truth is ignored. She saw her son's future, the paths that diverge, the ones that lead to sorrow, and the one that leads back to you. And somewhere deep inside, she knew he's still trying to run, still trying to pretend this was all a phase, a moment, a blur. But the healer's voice keeps echoing. He's being given one final window. So now she watches him, closer than before. She listens to the way he talks when he thinks no one is paying attention. She notices the way your name still lives in his throat, how his eyes still soften when your memory slips in. And something in her spirit is urging him to stop pretending, to stop pushing away what the divine keeps returning. And if you're wondering why your ears rang or why your chest felt heavy out of nowhere, this is why. Someone spoke your name with reverence last night. Someone prayed for you to be understood, to be protected. Someone saw your soul in a vision and couldn't shake what they saw. Let me know if you felt a sudden shift last night. The angels are asking you to comment if your soul just knew. The healer said you have always been part of a divine equation, that when he first met you, something ancient stirred, but he resisted. He turned this into a battle of ego and logic, while your spirit only offered love. And now the universe is tired of waiting. Now the angelic realm has issued a wake-up call, and it came through his mother, the one person he never thought would believe in something so unseen, so mystical, and yet she's shaking. She's quiet. But she's not the same. She saw flashes of your pain, visions of your patience. She saw how your silence was not weakness but grace. And now, the question echoing in her heart is, will my son choose love this time, or will he choose fear again? Because she knows now. This love was not random. This love has roots that go deeper than bloodlines, and denying it would only bring delay, karma, and regret. But here's what no one expected. She wants to speak to you. Not today, not openly, but soon. She wants to hear your truth, your heart, your story. Not the version others gave her, but the one only you can tell. Because the healer showed her. You're not the problem. You're the prophecy. And something strange is happening now, beloved. A shift so sudden, so fierce, it's beginning to turn everything he once thought was safe upside down. The very walls he built to protect himself from you, those quiet, emotional fortresses made of pride and unfinished wounds, are trembling. Cracks are forming in places he never thought you'd reach, because lately, no matter where he turns, the signs are relentless. The dreams, the moments of déjà vu, the unexpected names in conversation, the sudden rise of emotion when he hears a song he once heard around you. It's all beginning to feel like divine intervention, because it is. He tried to keep moving forward, tried to distract himself with new goals, new people, even new smiles, but nothing has worked. It's as if the universe itself is blocking every road that doesn't lead back to you. The timing of everything now feels wild, chaotic, divine. Doors are opening without warning. Conversations are accelerating, and his soul, once hesitant, now feels like it's being pulled urgently, undeniably, towards something he once abandoned out of fear. You, and the truth is, he never truly left, not emotionally, not spiritually. He's been carrying you in hidden places, replaying old words, revisiting your energy in silence. But now the pressure is mounting, not from you, but from within. His heart is tired, tired of pretending, tired of resisting a connection that keeps calling to him through every corner of the universe. And when he's finally alone with his thoughts, that's when the truth cuts deepest, that he pushed away the only person who ever saw his shadow and didn't run, the only soul who offered understanding instead of judgment, the only light he ever felt truly safe in. He's beginning to realize something sacred. It was never about perfection. It was about recognition, about spirit, about home. And that is what you've always been to him, even in the silence. A home, a mirror, a soul contract he cannot break, no matter how far he runs. You may have felt an energetic surge recently, a sudden heaviness in your chest, followed by a calm that didn't make sense. That was his spirit calling to yours, reaching, shifting, whispering apologies the words have yet to form. The path is opening now, and faster than he expected. He's being given messages in rapid flashes, dreams, emotions, even strangers repeating things you once said to him. It's like God is no longer allowing him to avoid what he knows, what his mother now suspects, what the healer already revealed. And what he fears most isn't rejection, it's delay. It's the knowing that if he waits too long, he might return and find your soul already in someone else's embrace. That is the silent terror that's begun to awaken him at night. Not jealousy, but divine panic, because what if he's already used up his last chance? What if the person who once waited for him in prayer and grace, in aching silence, has already walked away in quiet surrender? He doesn't want to lose you, not now, not after seeing what life without you really feels like. And the one thing he never admitted out loud, but has always carried deep within, is that you were never just someone he loved. You were someone he trusted to see his truth. You were someone he silently hoped would never give up, even when he did. If this part of the message felt like it reached your heart's hidden places, let the angels know by commenting below. Sometimes your soul's soft yes opens the door to your miracle. There's urgency in the wind now. Conversations are about to happen faster. Travel, messages, decisions, everything is speeding up. The divine is aligning every missed opportunity to meet you at the exact time you are most ready to receive it. The burdens he's been carrying, they're becoming too heavy to hide. And the emotions he repressed for so long, they're rising like a flood, impossible to ignore. The divine has turned the volume up, and your spirit, it's about to hear everything that was once left unsaid, and now, even the people around him are noticing. They may not say it directly, but their eyes carry questions. They sense the unrest in his spirit. They see the flicker in his gaze when your name is mentioned, even in passing. His silence around you used to be his shield, but now that silence has become too loud to ignore. His mother watches him closely now. She knows. Not everything, but enough. She knows there's someone he left behind that he shouldn't have. And recently, something she heard, something spiritual, confirmed what her intuition had been whispering for months, that the one her son was meant for isn't the one he's pretending to want now, that the one he speaks of with restraint is the one his soul cries for in secret. There was a moment, just a brief one, where he almost confessed everything to her, his guilt, his longing, the way your absence echoes louder than any presence he's tried to replace you with. But he couldn't speak. His throat locked up, not because of shame, but because the emotion was too raw to articulate. How do you explain to someone that you pushed away your miracle? That you met the one soul who made you feel whole and then walked in the opposite direction, thinking you could outrun destiny? But destiny's not a door you can close. It's not a chapter you can burn. It finds you again and again until you face it. He is beginning to realize that. The spiritual signs are getting louder. Numbers repeating, conversations looping, dreams that feel too real. He's beginning to understand that this is not just heartbreak. It's awakening, and it's shaking him to his core. His emotions no longer come in waves. They come in floods. And in those floods, your voice is the only thing he hears. Not the voice you spoke with, but the one his soul remembers. The one that soothed his storms without speaking. The one that soothed his storms without speaking. The one that reached across dimensions of pain and offered peace. He's remembering everything. The way your eyes looked at him like he was more than just his mistakes. The way your presence calmed something in him he didn't even know needed healing. The way your absence now haunts rooms he hasn't even stepped into yet. You are not just a memory, beloved. You are his mirror, his anchor, his divine undoing. And nothing, no distraction, no substitute, no silence can change that. Here, he may not know how to reach you yet. He may still be fighting with the parts of him that fear rejection, vulnerability, exposure. But what's coming is bigger than fear. A divine interruption is approaching, a shift in the wind, a call from the heart that cannot be silenced anymore. And when it comes, whether through a message, a conversation, a sudden appearance, know this, he will not be the same. The person returning will not be the one who walked away, because he's being stripped of illusions, refined through regret, and awakened by the ache that only you could ever soothe. If these words are unearthing memories you tried to bury, if something in your heart is whispering, "This is for me," comment below with an open heart. Let this be your soul's agreement with the divine. There is something sacred about divine timing. It doesn't always come when we beg for it, but it always comes when the soul is finally ready to receive without ego. The time is now, and you have grown in ways he never expected. You are not who you were when he left. You've risen, healed, transformed. And when he comes back, he will be stunned, because the light in your eyes will no longer be seeking, it will be sovereign, complete, and yet it will recognize him not as a savior, not as a lost lover, but as a soul who once chose fear and now chooses truth. The reunion won't be about reclaiming what was. It will be about honoring what still is. What was never broken in spirit, even when it was shattered in form, he is on his way. Not because the universe forced him, but because his soul finally surrendered. And in that surrender, everything begins. He hasn't said it out loud, but something inside him has shifted permanently. And the ones closest to him, especially his mother, can sense it. She may not know your name in full, but she knows there's a presence haunting her son's silence. A light he once carried that now flickers like a memory in his eyes. There is a difference in the way he moves now, how he pauses before speaking, how he drifts into thought when no one's watching. He's started noticing how certain songs bring tears to his eyes, how late at night he's staring at a screen but not really watching, lost somewhere in between what was and what could have been. He is thinking of you, dear one, more often than you can imagine. Not in passing, not like a ghost, but like someone who has been spiritually marked by a love they can't forget. He's been trying to control what he feels for so long, burying it under distractions, logic, other people's expectations. But your energy refuses to be buried. Your connection is not something that can be muted like noise. It's a frequency that keeps humming beneath the surface, waking him in the middle of the night, whispering to him through dreams, pulling him closer every time he tries to detach. Not obsession. It's not confusion. It's the recognition of something eternal. He knows now that no matter how far he runs, his soul always returns to you. Because you were not a chapter, you were the truth the entire book was leading to, and the divine has made sure he feels it. This undeniable pull, more clearly now than ever before. The universe has begun to corner him, not out of punishment, but out of mercy. Every sign is getting louder, every synchronicity more specific, every attempt to move on leads him back to you. He has finally reached the point where his own heart betrays his resistance. He cannot pretend anymore. He cannot lie to himself. He cannot hide behind what is safe, because what is sacred keeps calling him. And now, something else is beginning to rise within him. Not just longing, but courage. Not just regret, but readiness. He's starting to envision a future that includes you again, not as a fantasy, but as a promise. And this time, he doesn't want to come back with empty words. This time, he wants to return with actions, with consistency, with truth, because he knows that the version of you that exists now, the you who has grown through heartbreak and spiritual fire, deserves more than apologies. You deserve commitment, reverence, a love that stands even when the world shakes. There's a conversation he's preparing himself to have, one he's been rehearsing in his head over and over. He wants to tell you everything, the real reason he left, the things he never had the courage to admit, the pain he carried in silence, the realizations he's had since you've been gone, and, most of all, the truth that he can no longer escape, that loving you wasn't a mistake. It was the only time he ever felt whole. So, if you've been feeling sudden waves of emotion, sensing his presence, hearing his name in passing, or dreaming of him with unusual vividness, that is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Your souls are stirring again. The veil is thinning. Something is approaching. Moment, a message, a meeting. It may come when you least expect it, but it will not come by accident. Divine timing is always precise, and what's coming next is not a test. It's a restoration. If your heart is quietly nodding, if something in you whispers, "I know this is for me," let it be known. Comment below with honesty. Your engagement isn't just digital, it's spiritual. It's your soul saying yes to what is awakening. He's realizing now that your absence didn't create emptiness. It revealed it. It showed him all the places he thought he was full but was only surviving. It exposed how he had mistaken comfort for connection. And in losing you, he found a version of himself that he had never met before. One who longs for purpose, for depth, for soul over surface. And you, dear one, you are all of that. You always were. This is not just about love. This is about alignment. He is being realigned with his highest truth, and that truth has your fingerprints all over it. You were never random. You were the mirror he was destined to look into, and though he tried to shatter it with fear, he now understands. It is only through you that he can see the divine in himself. There is a sacred stirring in his soul now that no one else can quiet. Not friends, not distractions, not even time itself. Something has been awakened, and it's not going back to sleep, because once truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. And the truth is, he still loves you. It's not the kind of love that fades in silence, but the kind that deepens in distance. The kind that survives the storm and still stands, whispering, "I'm not done. I never was." He's beginning to understand that the battles he fought with you were never really about you. They were about the war he was fighting within himself. The fear of being seen, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being loved too deeply and then lost. And now that he's finally looking inward, the divine is showing him what he refused to see before. You weren't the chaos, you were the calm. You weren't the problem. You were the pause, the peace, the presence. He didn't know how to receive. And the moment he lost you, the silence began speaking louder than ever. His mother saw it too. She noticed how he changed after you, how even in rooms full of people, his eyes searched for someone who wasn't there. She sensed it when he tried to laugh, but the light didn't reach his spirit. And then one night something happened. A conversation, casual at first, cracked open a truth. Someone mentioned your name. He flinched, not visibly, but deeply. And for the first time, he didn't change the subject. He didn't hide. Instead, he stayed. He listened. And when they asked, "Is there something you never told us?" he took a breath that felt like a lifetime and he said, "Yes. There's something I can't carry alone anymore." In that moment, it wasn't just a confession. It was a release, a sacred clearing, a spiritual unburdening. Because love like yours, it refuses to be buried. It lives in the light. And now he's walking toward it. He's remembering things with a clarity that feels divinely orchestrated. The way your voice used to calm him. The way your hands never pushed, but always held. The way your eyes held space for all his pieces, even the ones he was ashamed of. And he's wondering now, how did he walk away from that? How did he convince himself that something so holy could be replaced? But the divine wastes nothing, not even heartbreak. And every moment apart has been used to prepare him, to purify him, to make him worthy, not of perfection, but of presence. of finally being able to show up fully. And now he is being called to return, not as the boy who left, but as the man who has learned what it means to cherish. There is a message forming on his lips, heavier than any he's ever spoken, yet lighter than the burden of silence he's carried. It will not come out rushed. It will arrive slowly, like dawn after a long night. And when it does, you'll feel it, not just in your ears, but in your spirit. Because this time, when he says your name, it won't be to call you back. It will be to ask for permission to stand beside you again, not as if nothing happened, but because everything happened. And he still chose you. If this touched something deep in your heart, take a moment and comment, "I feel this in my soul." Your words matter more than you know, and they send ripples into the spiritual realm. He's being pulled now, not by guilt, but by gravity. The kind of gravity that souls share when they've made promises before this lifetime. The kind that doesn't loosen with time or distance, but strengthens in silence. And this gravitational pull is guiding him to your door, not just physically, but energetically. His spirit is approaching yours. His dreams are filled with moments that haven't happened yet, but are being written now in the fabric of fate. And as he prepares to speak, the universe prepares to part the clouds. Synchronicities will increase. You may feel him before you see him. You may hear his voice in a dream or sense his presence in a passing breeze. This is not your imagination. This is alignment. This is soul-level communication before the reunion in form. But here's the sacred truth. Your role was never to chase. It was to hold the light, to keep becoming, to keep healing, to keep trusting that what is truly yours will always rise to meet you. And now, it's rising. He is rising. Your timelines are no longer running in parallel silence. They're bending. They're merging. They're about to collide in divine timing. And when that moment arrives, it will not look like a fairy tale. It will look like redemption. Like eye contact that holds lifetimes. Like trembling hands finally reaching, not to possess, but to promise. A promise to stay, to grow, to honor what never stopped beating beneath the surface. He's quiet now, not because he has nothing to say, but because the words he's preparing are sacred. He's no longer looking for the right moment to speak. He's preparing to become the moment. Because this isn't about a text, a call, or a perfectly timed arrival. It's about alignment. And the truth is, he's starting to align with the man he was always meant to be. The one who doesn't run, who doesn't hide, who doesn't let fear sabotage what his soul has already claimed. You see, beloved, when someone has truly awakened to what they lost, there's a trembling that enters the soul. Not of panic, but of reverence. He's been feeling it in waves. Sometimes when he's alone and everything is quiet. Sometimes when he sees something that reminds him of you. An old photo, a familiar scent, a song he once skipped but now plays on repeat. And in those moments, he hears your voice. Not in his ears, but in his chest. And it doesn't haunt him, it heals him. Because your voice was never just a sound, it was sanctuary. He remembers the promises, both spoken and unspoken. The way your energy wrapped around him like a prayer he didn't know he needed. And for the first time, he's not running from those memories. He's walking toward them with open palms, asking the universe to let him try again. Not to rewrite the past, but to co-create a future he never felt worthy of. Until now, even those around him have noticed. There's a shift in his energy. The anger is softer. The distractions don't satisfy. He's no longer reaching for temporary things to numb a permanent ache. He's facing himself. He's meeting his own eyes in the mirror and asking, why did I let her go? What part of me was so afraid of being loved like that? And in the stillness of night, when the rest of the world sleeps, he finally admits it. To himself, to God, to the universe, she was the light. She was the one who saw me. And I chose fear over truth. That confession has changed him, because when a man finally tells the truth to himself, everything shifts. That's when healing begins. That's when the universe responds. And you, divine soul, you haven't imagined this. The connection, the pull, the energy that lingers even when time has passed. It's real, because this was never just about love. It was about spiritual assignment, soul contract, destiny disguised as delay. And now the delay is dissolving. He's not the same man who walked away. He's been stripped by silence, refined by regret, awakened by absence, and what's left is the core of who he truly is. The part that always belonged to you. He doesn't just want you back. He wants to rise into the version of himself who can keep you, who can protect your love like the sacred offering it's always been, who can look you in the eyes not with guilt, but with gratitude. So when he returns, and he will, it won't be with empty hands. He's bringing truth. He's bringing clarity. He's bringing a version of himself forged through fire and shaped by faith. And most of all, he's bringing the words he couldn't say before, the ones his soul has been repeating in silence. You were never too much. You were my answered prayer, and I didn't recognize you in time, but I do now. I see you now. Please let me try again, not just to be with you, but to finally be the man worthy of you. If your spirit is whispering, "This is for me," then type, "I receive this" in the comments. It creates spiritual agreement with the divine, timing unfolding around you now. And now, on the other side of divine timing, you are being prepared too. Not just for his return, but for your elevation. For you are not who you were either. You've healed in ways he doesn't even know yet. You've shed layers that used to define you. You've cried rivers and planted gardens in your own soul. You've discovered your worth wasn't lost. It was just waiting for you to remember. This reunion will not be between the same two people. It will be between two awakened souls, standing in their truth, ready to choose each other without fear or condition. Not because it's convenient, but because it's divine. And when your eyes finally meet again, there will be a silence, not of distance, but of recognition. The kind of silence that says, "We made it." Through the confusion, the pain, the time, and the tests, we made it. And in that sacred pause, nothing will need to be explained, because everything will finally make sense. He's pacing the floor again tonight, not because he's restless, but because every corner of his soul is whispering your name. It's no longer just a memory that visits him. It's a calling, a pull, an ache that won't let go until he answers it. His spirit has finally stopped arguing with the truth, and now that he's surrendered, he can't believe how blind he was to the light you were offering all along. Because it's not just about missing you anymore, it's about understanding you. It's about seeing the parts of you that he dismissed before. The depth, the devotion, the softness you shared even when you were hurting. He's starting to realize you weren't just loving him, You were healing him. You weren't just showing up. You were covering his soul with protection, loyalty, and sacred energy that no one else ever gave. And now he's grieving, not just your absence, but the way he showed up when he had you. He knows there were moments where you sat in silence, waiting for him to say something deeper, but all he gave were surface words. He knows you gave second chances even when your heart was tired. You stayed, you believed, you forgave. And now? Now he sees what it really cost you to keep choosing him when he couldn't even choose himself. But this grief isn't destroying him. It's shaping him. It's bringing him face to face with the man he was always afraid to become. The man who feels. The man who knows. The man who can finally admit that he ran because he didn't believe he was enough. But oh, beloved, now he's learning that real love doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. And he's ready to be present now. Not with a mask, but with a heart wide open. He's had dreams lately. Dreams so vivid they wake him in tears. Not because they're nightmares, but because they're memories of what could have been. Visions of the life he was supposed to live with you. A kitchen filled with laughter. A shared sunrise. Quiet nights where you fall asleep on his chest. These aren't just fantasies. They're echoes of the life his soul agreed to before fear stepped in. And each time he wakes, the tears are heavier. Because now, for the first time, he's not wishing to erase the past. He's praying for a future. A chance. Not to take from you, but to build with you. To honor you. To protect the version of you that's been protecting others for far too long. He's remembering the things you said when you thought he wasn't listening. The prayers you whispered under your breath. The way you held space for his healing, even when yours was undone. And now he wonders, who holds you like that? Who listens to your silence? Who wipes your tears when no one's looking? Because you deserve that. You always did. And for the first time, he's not jealous. He's convicted. Convicted by the truth that he should have been that person. Not just the lover, but the keeper of your peace. And that realization is doing something no argument ever could. It's rewriting his soul from the inside out. If you're still reading, dear one, maybe it's because you feel this too. Not in your mind, but in your chest. The way his energy still pulls at your spirit. The way you can sense, even in silence, that something is coming. Not just a return, but a restoration. If this resonates, softly whisper in the comments, I trust the divine timing. Because sometimes healing begins the moment we agree with what our soul already knows. And here's what your soul knows. You were never the one who was too much. You were the one who was too real, too sacred, too transparent for a world that teaches people to hide. You didn't lose him, beloved. He lost the chance to grow with you while you were blooming in the dark. But grace is real. And grace brings back what guilt once destroyed, only this time with new eyes, new strength, and a new devotion. So let him come when he's ready. Let him walk through the fire he once avoided. Let him earn the conversation, the presence, the softness you so freely gave before. Because you are not the same, and neither is he. What's rising between you both now? It isn't nostalgia, it's prophecy. It's not a rewind, it's a rebirth. The kind of second chance only heaven can orchestrate. And when it comes, when he stands before you and the truth starts pouring out, you won't need to ask why now. You'll feel it in his eyes, in his voice, in the way the universe stops just long enough for your heart to recognize this was always meant to return, but only once we were both ready to hold it with reverence. He's no longer afraid of the silence, because that's where your presence lives now, in the stillness, in the quiet moments between the noise of daily life. He hears you. Not your voice out loud, but your essence, the echo of your love that still wraps around his soul like a whisper that never left. And it's this sacred silence that is teaching him what he was too distracted to notice before, that the most profound truths aren't shouted, they're felt. And he's finally feeling everything, every touch he ignored, every word he dismissed, every look you gave him that said, please just see me. He sees it all now. He sees you, and this clarity is not gentle. It's not romantic. It's raw. It's like staring into a mirror that no longer distorts the reflection, and in that reflection, he sees the parts of himself that you tried to love, even when he didn't love them. He sees the boy who ran from your love because he didn't know how to receive something that pure. He sees the man he's becoming, the one who is no longer running, but learning to stay. Stay with the truth. Stay with the pain. Stay with the love. He never told you how many times he replayed your last words. Not just the ones you said, but the ones you didn't say. The way your eyes dimmed when you felt unheard. The way your voice cracked when you were holding back your own storm just to make room for his. The way you pulled back, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. And he hates that you ever had to protect yourself from the one who should have been your protector. He knows that now, and it's eating him alive. Because what he feels now is not just guilt. It's awakening. It's the undeniable truth that no matter who came before or after, no matter how far he's tried to run, no matter how deep he buried your name under denial and distraction, you are still home. And home doesn't disappear. It waits. It holds space. It stays steady while the storm passes, just like you did for him. And now, he's praying for a chance to be that same anchor for you. He's heard things from people who still watch you from a distance. They tell him you've changed, that your eyes are brighter, but quieter, that you become more guarded, more selective with your energy. And deep down, he knows it's because of him. He wasn't careful with your heart. He didn't honor the way you gave without expecting anything back. And now that you pulled your energy inward, the world sees the glow, but he feels the void. And that void is shaped like you. But here's what's different now. He's not romanticizing the past anymore. He's not fantasizing about coming back to you as if nothing happened. He's preparing himself to come back as a man you can trust. As someone who won't just say the right things, but who will do them. Who will show up for your dark days, not just dance in your light. Who will guard your softness, not test it. Who will finally choose you, not when it's convenient, but because it's sacred. You may not believe him yet, and maybe you shouldn't. Maybe he needs to prove it, not with words, but with time, consistency, humility. Maybe he needs to show up and stay, even when it's uncomfortable. Because real love doesn't fear discomfort, it transforms through it. And he's ready now. Ready to face everything he once avoided. Ready to sit across from you, look you in the eyes, and say what he's been aching to admit. I see you now. I see what I lost. I see what I could still build, if you're willing. And dear one, if your spirit is stirring right now, it's not by accident. You're feeling this because it's real. Because this connection never left, it just went quiet, waiting for divine timing to bring the pieces together again. Not in desperation, but in alignment. So, hold space, not for the version of him that hurt you, but for the version of him that's rising, the one who's learning, the one who's shedding ego and pride and fear just to become the man you always saw hidden beneath the surface. That man is fighting his way back, not to reclaim you, but to deserve you. If this touched you even slightly, let the angels see your soul's truth. Comment softly, I am open to divine restoration. And know this, the love you gave was never wasted. The prayers you whispered were never ignored. The tears you shed in secret were never unseen. Heaven has been collecting them all, each moment, each ache, each silent hope. And when the time is right, what was once broken will not just return, it will be reborn in a way that honors everything you endured to reach this point. There is something happening behind the scenes that you haven't fully felt yet, but your soul can already sense it, like a quiet drumbeat in the distance, like a ripple forming in still water. The shift is approaching. The one you're connected to, the one your soul keeps dreaming of, is being brought to the edge of their own illusion. They've been standing at a crossroads between comfort and truth, and for the first time, comfort no longer feels safe, because pretending they're okay without you has become too heavy to carry. The mask they wore around others, the strong, indifferent, composed mask, is starting to crack, and underneath it is a version of them no one has seen, not even themselves. A version that bleeds honesty, a version that longs for you more than pride can deny. And you know what's breaking them open? It's not guilt. It's not regret. It's clarity. Clarity that came not through advice or confrontation, but through silence, through the way your absence echoed louder than anyone else's presence, through the dreams they keep waking up from, where your face appears not to haunt them, but to remind them. Remind them of the softness they once touched and didn't know how to hold. Remind them of the warmth they walked away from because they weren't ready to be seen that deeply. Remind them of a kind of love that didn't demand perfection, only truth. And now that their illusions are crumbling, your truth is the only thing they can still believe in. They tried to forget. They tried to move on. They tried to convince themselves that you were just a chapter in their story, a lesson learned. But no matter how far they ran, every road circled back to your name, not because of unfinished business, but because of unspoken love. And that love, it's still alive. It's just been buried under fear, under expectations, under the lies they told themselves about why they didn't deserve you. But the soul cannot lie forever. The soul eventually finds its way home. And that's what's happening now. The return, not of a person, but of truth. They've been watching you, not always physically, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. Every time you post something, every time you move forward, every time you show strength in your solitude, they feel it. And it doesn't hurt them in a bitter way. It awakens something. It reminds them that the version of you they left behind has evolved, that you didn't wait in bitterness, you grew in beauty. You didn't become cold, you became powerful. And that power has made them realize if they want to come back, they cannot come empty-handed. They must come whole. And that's what this season is birthing. A deep, raw transformation within them. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that comes from nights alone, from silent tears, from memories that hit when no one is watching. They are being stripped of their excuses. Their distractions are no longer numbing them. Their defenses are no longer protecting them. The universe is cornering them with love, not punishment, with grace, not guilt, so they can finally rise, not just for you, but for themselves. And here's the part no one sees. They've started to talk about you. Carefully, quietly, but truthfully. They've begun admitting things to people they once hid you from, not because they want validation, but because they're tired of hiding. Tired of pretending you didn't matter. Tired of rewriting the story just to make themselves feel better. They're beginning to honor you with their words, even if you never hear them speak, even if the apology hasn't come yet. It's forming, it's maturing, because when love is real, it finds a way to express itself, not to manipulate, but to restore. And you, dear one, you have work to do too. Not the kind of work that wears you down, but the sacred kind, the work of receiving, the work of preparing your soul not for a return of the past, but for the alignment of what was always meant. You are not being asked to reopen old wounds. You are being invited to witness divine healing. Healing that begins within you. Healing that speaks through boundaries, through grace, through inner peace. Healing that whispers, you are not who they left. You are who you became because of it. You may feel them more lately. Their emotions, their pull, their confusion. That's because the cord between you has never fully severed. It only went quiet to allow healing on both ends. But now that healing has begun to bloom, the connection is stirring again, not in pain, in purpose. And you don't have to chase it. You only have to stay open, stay soft, stay discerning. Because divine timing isn't always convenient, but it is always right. If this touched you, comment, I'm ready for divine alignment. Let the angels see that your heart still believes in what is sacred and true. There are whispers being exchanged in the spirit realm right now. Conversations between your soul and theirs, unspoken promises, divine blueprints unfolding. And when the moment arrives, when it's truly time, you won't need signs. You'll feel it in your bones, in your breath, in your spirit. The recognition will be undeniable. Not because of familiarity, but because of completion. Because you'll finally see yourself reflected in someone who has done the work, who has faced the shadows, who has walked through fire, just to return, not burned, but reborn. And that moment, it's closer than you think. You don't need to chase it. You only need to stay aligned with love. What they feel for you now isn't the same as before. It's not wrapped in confusion or veiled by ego anymore. It's humbler, softer, more aware. This love is no longer about wanting. It's about understanding. No longer about possession. It's about reverence. And somewhere deep within them, they're starting to understand that your presence was not a coincidence. It was an answer to the ache they never had words for, an answer to the longing that even they tried to silence. And now, they're learning that not every connection was meant to be explained. Some were sent only to be felt. And you, dear soul, were felt in places they didn't even know existed. They remember your words, not just the ones you said out loud, but the ones you said with your silence, with your patience, with your willingness to see them when they weren't even showing you the full picture. And now, they find themselves replaying moments, not to hurt themselves, but to learn. They see your grace differently now. They see your heart not as something fragile, but as something sacred. And in doing so, they've started to feel something unfamiliar. The desire to protect you, not out of guilt, but out of honor. Because for the first time, they are seeing love through the lens of responsibility, not entitlement. They are realizing that to truly love someone is not just to want them, but to stand beside them through the storm, through the fire, through the moments when love must be a verb, not just a feeling. And this realization is transforming them, slowly, deeply, quietly, but without a doubt. You may not see the evidence yet, but there are signs all around. The people they used to confide in are noticing the change. The ones who doubted your bond are now watching silently. Even the ones who once pulled them away are starting to feel the tension shift. Because something about your love was never just between the two of you. It disrupted energy. It rearranged expectations. It awakened what was asleep in both families, both paths, both hearts. You may wonder if they'll ever say it, the truth, the full truth, the one you've always deserved. And the answer is yes, but not when they're scared, not when they're trying to perform healing for others. It will come when their soul reaches a place so raw, so honest, so unfiltered, that they can no longer breathe inside the lie they created. And that moment is coming, not because you waited, but because you released. When you stopped clinging, when you started healing, when you chose to love yourself deeper than the absence hurt, that's when everything began to shift. Your alignment activated theirs. Your clarity demanded theirs. Your growth lit the way home. And now their soul is beginning to follow that light, even if it's clumsy, even if it's messy, even if it takes time. Truth walks slower than illusion, but when it arrives, it stays. You are not being asked to hold space for confusion anymore. You are being called to hold space for truth. The truth of who you are, the truth of what you deserve, the truth of what this love could be, if both of you rise to meet it. Because it's not just about reunion, it's about resurrection, a rebirth of trust, of transparency, of a bond that no longer needs to hide behind what-ifs or almosts. And here's what the angels want you to know. It was never your job to fix them. It was your role to awaken them. And you did. You didn't fail. You fulfilled your purpose in their story with every ounce of love, patience, and authenticity you offered. The rest is not on your shoulders. You're not being asked to wait. You're being asked to receive. And that receiving starts now with the belief that what's yours by divine alignment cannot miss you. Not if you stay true, not if you stay soft, not if you trust that God sees what you've done in silence and honors it louder than anyone else ever could. So breathe, not because the story is ending, but because a new one is quietly beginning. A story where you are no longer carrying someone else's burden just to feel loved. A story where you are met, not just seen, where you are chosen, not just remembered, where your light is not just admired, but protected. If this message resonated, comment below. I allow only what is aligned to stay in my life. Let the angels know your heart is open, but protected. They're coming, but not as the person you once knew, not as the version who ran. They are returning from the fire, from the chaos, from the questions, and they're returning because something inside them finally whispered, "You're ready now." And when they stand before you next time, it won't be with stories to explain away their absence. It will be with silence that says, "I had to lose myself to know what I truly wanted, and what they want is you." Dear beautiful soul, if you made it all the way to the end of this message, that means something inside your spirit knows this wasn't just a video, it was a divine appointment, a sacred whisper from the angels directly to your heart. And if even a single part of this message brought tears to your eyes, softened your pain, or helped you feel a little less alone, then please, don't leave in silence. Click that subscribe button now and tap the bell icon so you never miss another moment like this again, because your healing matters and your journey is far from over. Leave a comment below if you felt something awaken within you. Even just a word like, "I receive this with love," helps this light reach more hearts who are quietly praying for a sign tonight. Your words could be the answer to someone else's silent question. If your heart feels called to support this sacred space, offering a super thanks is a beautiful gesture of love. Every seed you sow here allows these messages to keep flowing to those who need them most. Whether it's one soul or 1,000, your kindness keeps the light alive. Please, don't forget to like and share this message with someone you love. You never know whose spirit is breaking quietly behind a smile, and this message might be exactly what they need. Thank you for being part of this angelic family. May the angels continue to walk with you, lifting your heart when it feels heavy, guiding your path when it feels lost, and cradling your soul in their everlasting grace. Until we meet again in the next message, keep believing, keep shining, and never forget, you are so deeply loved.